when you pull on that jersey, you represent yourself and your teammates. And a name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back. Get that through your head.
And here we go.
And it is no good. He missed it. Are you kidding me? The season can't end like that.
The playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Some goofball in a hat and a red shirt. Now he takes off the shirt. He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. He's bare-chested and banging his chest. Now he runs the opposite way. He runs to the 50. He runs to the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. The 20. They're chasing him. They're not going to get him. Waving his arms. Bare-chested. Somebody stop that man.
And happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm your host of the program, otherwise known as NETMA. Well, we'll get to the LA Lycans here in just a bit, but we'll also get to Carolina here in also just a second. But I'm your host of the program, Tyler Falk. It's like I haven't done this in a while. But here we are. We start off with that breaking news. Both LA and Carolina both announce new branding for season 19 and beyond. And let's take a look at Carolina's. A couple of new logos. Gone is the sideways skyhawk, and on comes an oddly similar style of logo from a former professional team. Now, I think the inspiration was taken from the old Atlanta Hawks basketball team in the NBA. That logo, it looks pretty similar with the hawk clutching the ball in its talons compared to, well, the Skyhawks' primary logo, clutching the name and identity in its talons. Go ahead and try and compare the two logos, if you will. But I do have to say, I do like the new branding. I think the old Atlanta Hawks logo was pretty decent. I think this one from Carolina expounds upon it and makes it even better, and they make it their own. I really like the Hawk version of both the primary and secondary. The letter marks, I'm a little concerned and maybe a little confused with the SC. You're based in North Carolina. I know it's supposed to be C for Carolina and S for Skyhawks, but your main rivalry is in South Carolina, SC, with Charleston. So I'm not saying it's maybe a wrong logo combination, but there's two things I have wrong with just the letter marked SC. Now, on its own, from a long distance approach to it, you have to really see the C and the S. It almost looks like a plus sign. That was my initial reaction to it. Is that a plus sign or is that something else? And you have to really look deeper into the logo. The one underneath it with the hawk wings, I think, helps that out. I don't think they will be using the SC as I would say as a primary letter mark logo. The wood alts and the wood marks, I think, are spectacular. I really do like the format and the font they've gone through for especially that secondary wood alt wood mark. I really, really like that. Just as a whole by itself, I think they can run with that. All in all, I think it's a good release and a good day. You know how we're talking about Atlanta Hawks? It's just dawned on me, but I think the badge style one almost reminds me of the Baltimore Ravens badge in a way. Then again, it's their own. It's their unique take on their new branding. I think it looks pretty good. Okay, on to Los Angeles and their new logos. And it looks like, to me, my initial impressions is that they are going further and further away from yellow. It looks like, again, instead of having maybe a cheese ball behind their logo, some would say, they now have a traditional full moon behind them. The lichen looks fierce. I think it's the best looking version of the lichen we have seen so far, and they've only had 2 different iterations of the lichen, but I really, really do like the boldness, the ferocity that is shown in the eyes and in the teeth, with the barred fangs. I really do like LA's logo. The one thing I could probably, see a little bit differently, the lichens almost look like, as far as the font goes, almost looks like it's prehistoric. So it feeds into that, myth slash legend style of feel. That's the only thing I think they could have been a little bit more bolder with the font, but it looks pretty good. So I still think it looks pretty good. Both Carolina and LA have done a really good job with their new releases. So that is where we stand as far as the announcements that have come through in the past 24 hours. And now we've got a whole bunch of new signings in the past 24 hours. Vancouver was the busiest of the lot here in this past 24 hours. Total of, I believe that's 9 signings in the past 24 hours, all the way from Sawyer Stern at fullback, who I thought had a really good rookie year at that fullback position, all the way through Gerald Giudice, Achilles Papatonis, all re-signing and chance to win the first ever kicker in Vancouver. Maybe I wouldn't. Andy will probably correct me on it. Maybe not the first ever kicker or contracted kicker in Legion history, but definitely the one that stuck around for a couple of seasons. Good to see him back in the Legion, blue, white, and gold. A couple other teams really getting on the board. San Diego get their first signing with Zach Holdorf. Tulsa and Sioux Falls also in the mix as far as getting their names in. Motor City get their first 5 signings as they transition from St. Louis to Detroit, now known as Motor City. Coming in London with 4, Robert Merrill, Jack Russell, Brandon Ewing, Jeff Gagne, all coming back to the Knights in the fall in season 19. And then finally, about within the last 15-20 minutes, Ashley Jackson puts pen to paper to re-sign for Arizona. So Ashley Jackson sticking around under center for Eddie Gage and company. And a couple other signings. I know I've missed a couple, but if you want to go check out your names, you can always go to the SFL Season 18-19 Offseason Hub. Link to that is linked in the NETMA server. That link is down below in the description. Jump in there, jump into the Season 18-19 Offseason tab, and you can go ahead and find that document pinned in that channel. If you want to go ahead and take a look at everything that's happening live, you just go to the contracts page. That'll be the players tab when you get to the main page of the SFL website. That link is also down below in the description. But once you click on players, you'll be directed to an account page or a home page that'll more than likely have your player on it if you are in the SFL. If you're not, it'll just, I have no idea what it says, so you'll be able to find out. But what you'll be able to do is hit contracts, and you'll be able to see the recent contracts. So the past, however minutes, looks like Benji Matson has re-signed. That's something that has taken place as we've begun the show. So Benji Matson will return to the fold. That'll be updated on the SFL 18-19 hub in short order. But that is a look at where things stand in the SFL as we slowly but surely move on to the minor league. I promise we'd talk a little bit of minor league today, and for the first time, we're going to go a little bit in depth before we close out the show of my thoughts on the minor league this season. I think for the most part, it's been a really good minor league season, especially for San Jose, starting off 5-0, a really hot start for the Flight. Far cry from where they've been their first couple of seasons. Last season, making a good run at it. This season, same thing. They stand at the top of the standings, and then it's a huge gaggle in the middle of the park. 3-3-2 teams, 2-2-3 teams, and all 6 play against each other this week. Madison still looking to figure out what's going on with them at 0-5. San Jose 5-0 as they come into Friday's contest. And what has really been the story of Madison? Again, winners of the season 4 SFLm championship. And a lot of their folks are wondering, we just won a championship. How can we fall so far? And with the minor league, with high turnover, you're going to get a lot of new players. And the way it worked this season is some players had the opportunity to come back into the league. And I'm not saying that's a reason why we're seeing Madison lose. I don't think it plays a major factor in it at all. What I do think is Madison have struggled to find consistency early in ball games and find the right plays to get Moon comfortable. He is tied with 3 other quarterbacks in sacks with 10, and he only has 3 touchdowns, which is second worst in the league. A far cry from his championship winning season in season 4. But again, he's not a bad quarterback. He might be forcing throws that he was maybe used to passing last season, but there comes a time when the coaching staff has to take a look about how they change things. Of course, no team wants to go in the SFLM's case 0-8. They want to get a couple of wins for their guys, reward them for the hard work they're putting in, week out. I wouldn't say it's fair to anyone, but unfortunately, a team has to lose, and for Madison, it's been them. Maybe they pull off the upset of the season by taking down Tacoma. Maybe they finally figure some things out this week. I know personally, Lincoln figured some things out midway through the early part of the season. Have gone on a 3-game win streak. Tacoma, coming a little bit back to the pack over the course of the season. Albuquerque started to turn things around, 0-3 to start, now 2-0 in the last 2 games, looking to make it 3-0 through 3 games. But as far as quarterbacking is concerned, I would have to say that it's clearly been Tacoma's offensive style, which has really gotten Ty Pack on the board in a hurry. He's going to cross 2,000 passing yards this upcoming contest versus Madison. He sits at 1916 yards right now. Jordan Sipe, another good candidate. He's about 500, little less than 500 passing yards, has 3 more touchdowns. The 2 quarterbacks, Tack and Sipe, are combining for 27 passing touchdowns, which is 10 more than the rest of the quarterbacks combined. I think that's insane. Chad Moore for Lexington came midway through the season. He doesn't have a whole lot of numbers, but still has 5 touchdowns after taking over midway through. Meanwhile, as far as roster's concerned, cut day was yesterday, and so we have lost a few players. Annapolis loses the wide receiver, Kai Avery. So until rosters get churned around, they're going with 2 wide receivers. Unless I could be corrected. Zachary Patton and Hector Huxley, of course, all sticking around. No changes for Lexington or Albuquerque. Ricky Toolish had been dropped in week 3 after missing 2 progressions. He is dropped again for the second time and final time for Lincoln. And that means that McCullough Foster will get the starting nod at wide receiver 3 for Lincoln in the week 6 matchup. Foster moves from free safety to wide receiver. For Madison, they lose their fullback, Tank Williams. I like a fullback. It's unfortunate to see one go. Ottawa stands pat. San Jose loses 2 players, Peter Warbonnet, the cornerback, and their kicker, Jackson Cannon, who was a week 4 signing, did not progress since joining the league. Tacoma sticks around right as they are. A few players I also want to give some props to before we wrap up today. Baloo Scott was a running back, I think an underrated running back from this season. Had some really nice runs this past week in his Week 4 contest. As far as everybody else goes, Annapolis, maybe someone to take a look at on their roster from what I've seen. Roscoe Rossi, I think I saw his name on one of the leaderboards. I think he might be close to or right at the top as far as tackles go, as far as the defense is concerned. I think solo tackles, that is. Let me see. Roscoe Rossi. I thought I saw his name here somewhere. I'll keep looking for it. As far as total sacks go, there we go. That's what I'm looking for. Sacks. Roscoe Rossi is tied for second in sacks with Luis Negron, who's also having a fantastic day in the defensive line. Negron plays for defensive tackle, Rossi for Annapolis. The man leading the charge at sacks with 8.5 is Forrest Dalton, the two-way player out of Jacksonville, playing for Lexington here in the minor league. As far as receiving goes, Tacoma, of course, with a very high-flying offense, have to have two people right near the top. Shane Kaufman, two-way player out of Motor City, and Tita Queen is really coming to her own and is close to eclipsing 700 receiving yards and already has 3 touchdowns to her credit. Adrian Ellis for Madison, right just under 460 in terms of passing yards, does have 1 receiving touchdown. A couple of players also leading the way as far as touchdowns go. We see a lot of two-way players leading the way. Shane Kaufman, David Gears, DJ Bandit, 6, 4, and 4 touchdowns respectively. Jay Viper with 3 touchdowns, along with Terrell Cooper for San Jose, and for TT Crystal also jumping in with 3 as well. As far as the teams go, of course, we know that Tacoma's right up there in their passing attack. Annapolis and Lincoln are right up there with their rushing attack. No real team seems to be struggling in really anything. If maybe except for maybe Annapolis, they are at 162 passing yards on average per game. But then again, that philosophy on the offense is to get Randy Squarebush the football, and of course, they are leading the league in that with 155 average rushing yards in this season. As far as the defense is concerned, San Jose, you have to be a high-flying defense to combat a whole lot of these teams, including Tacoma. They have a nice turnover differential of 9. Madison stand at -7 on the other end. Okay, so I think that's just about going to do it here for this edition of the program. And tomorrow, I've invited all the expansion owners to jump on the show tomorrow to talk about their new team, who they're bringing in as far as staff, maybe some players. Then again, we probably won't be able to talk about that. But definitely the staff hires, which correspondingly will more than likely mean the players at that point. So what they're going to be trying to do in this season, where they think they'll end up, who they're maybe targeting, or what positions they might still be targeting, all coming up on tomorrow's edition of the program. Same time, same place right here on YouTube. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.